Hello everyone and welcome to Indeed Flex. By now you'd have just been verified to join us on our platform, which means you're able to book yourselves onto shifts. Now you may have gone through some of these things with your interviewer, but today I'm just going to go through a few bits and bobs to help you get along the way. So on the screen here you can see now we're going to be looking at how to apply for a shift, how to claim shifts, how to cancel shifts, clocking in and out, messaging the clients, and the other support functions that you may want to use whilst you're on the app. So first of all, I just want to take a second to go through and actually look at what the actual app has in place for you when it comes to booking shifts. So as you can see here, there's three columns. You have applied, offered, and booked. Now, these are really important to understand the difference between the three of them. Okay, so the applied section is when clients have posted a shift and they're looking to browse through profiles and decide which one they'd like to take on and offer that position to. So quite a lot of our shifts on our platform could be sent across as an application. Normally, these are for shifts which are specifically to do with temp to perm positions or potentially looking for a specific skill set. Then we move on to the offered shifts. Now, a majority of our shifts are actually based in the offered section, and they're where the client is comfortable enough to trust us as Indeed Flex, making sure that when we've verified somebody that they're happy for you to work there. So these shifts are often open for everyone to come, but they're a first come, first served basis. So when you see these on the app, please be aware that they may not be there for a long period of time before they're taken by someone else on the platform. So make sure that you decide and look at your availability and act fast. Finally, you have your booked shifts. Now these are the shifts that you can see that belong to you. So these are the shifts you should be attending. Up until this point, any of the shifts that are in the applied or the offered section, you should not be going along to because you've not claimed them or you've not been offered them. Okay, so when you're having them booked, that means that these are the shifts where you have to go, and this is where you'll also find the clock in and out buttons. Now, to claim a shift, which is the most frequent thing we have on the platform, go into your offered section, and as you see on the screen, you'll see a list of all the jobs that are available to you. Now you can filter those through, and you can browse and see which one takes your fancy. Have a look at all the information on there. Make sure it's really important to understand you have the right uniform, you have all the safety requirements you'd need for it. Also potentially need to make sure that you've got the right standard of experience or qualifications or courses as well. Just to be aware that there are some that may require you to do some additional training. And once you have viewed that shift and that is the shift you want to take on, you scroll down and you click on claim. Once you've gone through all the information, it'll ask you just to confirm those things. And then once you do that, that'll then go into your booked section. Now, applying for a shift, as I mentioned before, these are for shifts where their clients are looking to browse through candidates that have applied and decide potentially for a longer term position or for specific skill sets. And they're looking for people whose profiles match the experience they're looking for. So not only is it very important to make sure that you've got all your previous experience on your profile, that will help you with these positions, but it's also just important to make sure that you're aware that these are applications, not actually you booking the shifts. So again, you can go into the browse tab and you can start looking through, review the shifts that are in the area, check the shift details, and if it says apply at the bottom, that means again that you are applying for the shift and not claiming for it. Please note, you must make sure you keep your notifications on if you applied for a shift, because that will tell you whether or not you've been offered it, and then you go into the offered section, the claim, which we just talked about before. As I mentioned before, you are able to browse and filter shifts. These can be done from anything to do with specific dates, locations, roles, and you can go through and see what matches your filter in there as well. Now, once you've confirmed your shift and you're attending it, you need to make sure that you have, in advance, let us know that you're definitely still going along. So once you've gone in and claimed your shift and it's in your book section, you'll still be given a reminder 48 hours before the shift is due to start, just to confirm that you are still attending. You'll get given an email and an app notification. So there's two ways that you'll be reminded, but just make sure that you let us know. And it's really important that you give us that communication piece. There's absolutely freedom of choice. If you decide beforehand, up to 24 hours that you actually you change your plans, you don't want to work that shift, or whatever the situation might be, maybe you can't work that shift, then you are free to cancel it up to 24 hours and there's no penalty attached to it. Now, At the same time, as I mentioned before, communication is key. So if it's just to do with freedom of choice and you haven't let us know in a short period of time, there is some penalties. And also just not letting us know, not confirming your attendance, we class that as the same as, and there is a penalty attached with a strike. Now, if you do need to cancel your shift, you can go into the shift itself, go into the book section and find the shift that you're looking to cancel. And as you can see here on the screen, you'll see that there's just a list of reasons why. It may not fit any of those, you can select other, but it's just understanding what was the situation. Is it because of change in circumstances? Is it because the shift actually, it's too far to get to? Potentially the time slot doesn't work for you anymore, or you're no longer available. Any of those reasons, you can go in and put that in there. Now, once you've done that, you just need to scroll down to the bottom and select cancel shift. But again, the important part here is that communication and the time frame, so we can obviously try and see if we can get another candidate or another individual offered the shift as well. So, as I mentioned before, there are penalties on the platform. So failure to show up for a shift will lead to being banned from the platform. That is the most important part. That's the sort of worst thing you can do for us, is to just not show up when you've booked onto a shift. However, you will receive strikes for any extreme lateness or late cancellations if you haven't got the incorrect uniform and or you're not necessarily working to the standards required. If you do receive 3 strikes, this will turn into a ban and you'll no longer have access to the work on our platform. A strike on your account, however, can be deactivated once you've worked 10 consecutive shifts. But as I mentioned before, communication is key. If your cancellation or your no-show is because of a sickness or a major incident, as soon as you can get in touch with us and let us know, the sooner we can get you back on the platform and we'll remove any strikes. Now, but all being well, we're hoping that you will attend the shifts that you booked. So what you just need to do is on the day of your shift, you need to go in to the booked job section, click on the shift that's happening today, and you can see on the screen here you have the clock in button that shows at the top. There are 2 ways you can clock in. There is the manual button and there is the QR code. So at some sites or at some events you may have a team leader who will do your clock in through scanning it. Otherwise you simply click on the clock in button and you can either clock in manually or clock in, which is where you actually get permission to clock in from the manager, and you can do it yourself if they're not scanning you in. Please note you need to make sure you have permission from the manager, and also make sure you do this at the site. The clock in and clock out feature has a GPS notification, so when you clock in and when you clock out, we can pinpoint where you are when you do that, which helps us to make sure your pay is accurate. So to make sure you get paid on time and correctly, make sure you A, clock in and out at the venue, and B, make sure that you do so in a timely manner, so you're not doing it 20 minutes after you've actually started work, and you're not clocking out later, because it doesn't help the discrepancies when we're trying to confirm with the clients. At the end of your shift, do exactly the same thing. Go into the clock out section, and again either be scanned out or you can manually clock out yourself. At the end of your shift, you will be then asked if you can rate the shift out of 5 and just let us know how your experience was. That's really good feedback for us to share back with the clients as well. Now, once you've booked a shift, you will be able to message a client. So you can always find out if there's any sort of lateral flow test required, or if you are running late and you need to let them know that there's traffic or whatever. You can simply go in, you can search for the client, and you can then message them and inform them of anything that will be there. Please note that is not the support function, so if you need any support, do not go to that area for that. Speaking of support, if you go into the Indeed Flex app and go to your profile page, you'll then find there is the My Support function, which will give you a list of things. So when you go into there, you will find the FAQ page. There's also some training videos, much like this one, and then there's also 2 other forms of contact. So we have the email support function and the chat with support function. So the chat is a live chat function. Please be aware that obviously, depending on the time of day and the number of people, there may be some delays, but we'll try and make sure that everyone's seen in a timely manner and resolve those issues. If your matter is not urgent, then if you can email, we have a team of people who will work through those to make sure that any of your questions or support queries are answered in a timely manner. The last thing I'd like to point out is throughout the year, you might find that we are entering low and high seasons. So, for example, we do have times in the year where we have an increase in work. So for example, the summer holidays, the Christmas time, and also leading up to Christmas itself. Whereas January, February tend to be a kind of a quieter time for us, especially for temporary roles, because there's not as much work available in those industries that we currently cover. That's both inside temporary platform working as well as in general platform working as well. We are always looking to bring new opportunities, but during this season, it's great for you opportunity for you to try and do some upskilling, potentially try and learn how to get developed and experienced enough to get verified for other roles. We do have online training with Flow, and you just need to request access to that. You'll be given a month's worth of access to complete stuff like food safety, food hygiene, and health and safety level 2. Make sure that you apply for as many shifts that are available to you, so you can obviously increase your chance of being selected. And just have an idea about maybe how far your radius or what you're willing to travel for work might be as well. But we will always continue to try and obviously offer new opportunities to you through webinars, through training opportunities, and even potentially through new clients that come onto our platform. That's it from me today. If you do have any questions, again, they have the support function. We do also have a live webinar which is run for you to go and ask any questions that you may have in there as well. Thank you very much.